All right. Hi, everyone. I'm back for more Kijimi build. More Kijimi build. We have to finish. So, what am I doing today? Let's see. So I'm continuing on the hardware board. I think this can be the final day for the hardware board. I did do a little prep last night for this. Um, and I got lucky. What had happened is for the 16 pin ICs, um, there are little, the little holders. I can't remember what they're called. The little mounting holders for that you solder in for the ICs, and then you plug the ICs into those holders. I'd already done that, which is great, but it covered up the IC numbers on the circuit board. So, because it covered up those IC numbers on the circuit board, I didn't know which ICs went where. So I referenced the build of materials for the hardware board, and I sorted out. I had all the components. I found the components in the bags and all that stuff, but I didn't know where they went. I got lucky, and back in my photo stream from a year or two ago, I had luckily taken pictures of the raw board somewhere, and just luckily had a photograph of the raw circuit board with no components on it yet. I actually had to piece together 2 or 3 boards because I didn't have one big shot. I had pieces of them, so I had to put it together like a puzzle. At any rate, I printed those out, and I'll show you in a second. And I made, taped them together and made a whole circuit board. And then what I did is then, because I could see the numbers, I took the ICs and laid them out on that picture. And now after I finish soldering in the buttons today, I know I have a map of where the ICs are going to plug in. And so I have to solder in the buttons, and then the encoder, and then the OLED display, and I think there's like 22 items there. And once those are all soldered in and secured, then I can move on to plugging in those ICs, which I think there's around 20 of those as well. And then the hardware board is essentially complete. After I do that, I may stop there. I might plug in the motherboard to the hardware board, but I think I'm going to wait and do a really good inspection of the hardware board now, at least that side that's exposed, and just double check my solders and things, and pray that they are all correct. All right, so that's on the agenda. That's what I think we're hopefully going to accomplish today, so we can beat the hardware board, have it done, and then I have everything else built, really. Of course, yeah, the switch and the headphone jack. My headphone jack was missing, the 1/4-inch headphone jack. I wrote SynthCube to see if they'd send me another one. I mean, it's been a couple years, but hopefully they will. If not, I'll have to source one of those somewhere like Amazon or something. Hopefully I won't have to, but at any rate, got to do that. And then, yeah. So other than those little things of, connecting boards and doing final powering and, running power cables and things, all the boards are complete now except for the voice card. So then I'm going to move on to, practicing those tiny chips, the 20 pin or whatever, the voice card chips, surface mount chips. And I think I was looking at stuff again last night, and I think I might, instead of practicing the drag soldering, I think I might try. I have some solder paste, and I have some syringe flux as well. I may start with, flooding it with the syringe flux, and then trying to squirt on maybe some solder paste onto those pins, and and then tweezering in the component, and then just using my hot air rework station and see if I can do it that way. If I could get comfortable with that and that felt good, I think what I might do then as well is practice with some of the caps or resistors as little surface mount ones, because I was looking at my old ones and they're really ugly. I think they're fine, but they're ugly. I wasn't the steadiest hand with the soldering iron. So I'm thinking maybe I could do the same as well. Just go around the board and squirt little dabs of solder paste and tweezer them in, and then just hot air them into place. So we'll see. I don't know how that'll go, but I'll start experiments. Maybe that'll be in a day or two here. So I guess with that, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch over cams, and I'll be back. All right. We are switched over on cams here. I'm going to grab the mouse too so I can switch stuff up. Okay, let's see. I did set up that overhead cam again. Which cam is it? Is it this one? Yeah. So I do have kind of an overhead cam here as well, to kind of check out what's going on here on the board. So here I'm going to start preheating my iron, and I'm going to get these things out of the way, these other components. And then what I think is going to happen is I think I'm going to flip-flop this and put my fan more central here, because I really hate sucking down the solder fumes. Makes me feel terrible. It makes me feel pretty spaced out by the time I'm done with this stuff. So here I'm gonna need this loop as well. I don't know what this is, the magnifying thing. So hold on here. I'm gonna ditch this, put this on. Okay, so what do we got? I see some buttons down here that still need to be done. I saw a couple buttons up here that had kind of half solders on them. I think I may these two. I think I may revisit those first, and then maybe I'll finish off these four. And then I think that's all in this area, and then we'll move maybe across the board and go that route. Let me see, maybe I can fit these on over this. Yeah, can do that. Okay, so let's see what we got. Like I said, there was two solder joints there from yesterday. They don't look bad, but they don't look, perfect. I am going to try to clean this really well. Hopefully prevent some of our problems. Okay, that actually looks not too shabby. I'm going to turn on the fan now. Get my solder kicking. Sorry for the fan noise. I guess just part of it. Okay. I'm going to try to retouch these two that I didn't like from yesterday. They are right there. Okay, I see them. Yep. Yep, those retouched just beautiful. Okay, great. Now let's move on here. I purposely didn't have any coffee this afternoon, so hopefully I'm not Mr. Jitters soldering. And I have to admit that I think I can feel a difference in my soldering capabilities without having coffee. which kind of makes me sad because, yeah, because I'd rather be drinking the coffee, but I do have to admit that it gives me a much steadier hand doing these solders. So I'm going to have to forgo the coffee while we solder here. Oh, this is flowing really nicely right now. I don't know what the difference is between yesterday and today, but oh boy, that was ugly. I just said that and then I had like, I just did it really ugly solder where it just kind of went. Boy, these anchors are really, they just suck up the heat and they don't want to do anything. Come on. There we go. I almost bridged to the LED. I don't want to put too much heat into these, but at the same time, there. Now that one flowed really beautifully. See, that one was ugly again. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think it's this unleaded solder. I don't know. It will just like what's happening. It's really unusual, but I've used this solder for a long time and never had this problem. So I feel like it's some other variable. But what's happening is the solder will kind of really ball up and just look terrible and kind of not sit well, not just melt really nice and fluidly. Maybe it's because there's like old flux and stuff on here and I've already desoldered these once. Maybe it's you know, because they're a little manky, the ends, and I didn't really clean it well. I'm thinking that's what it is. It's like interference from the gunk and stuff that was on there from desoldering, and so it's making it's just enough material and kind of junk introduced to just kind of make these ugly and not very like this one again. I'm just having to heat and heat and heat, and it's just not going anywhere. Come on. There. Eesh, that was a disaster, but I think I'm going to leave it like that. These have been really tricky. It's the posts, the kind of anchor point post for the buttons. The first time around, these just went on beautifully. I think it's, like I said, something to do with desoldering and resoldering. I think there's just enough gunk material on there to make this things not want to go smoothly. So some of these aren't the prettiest, but if they are on there and they are holding, I'm kind of just leaving them there and good, because like some of these I had to do quite a while to get them to like hold them on for 4 or 5 seconds or more. I'm kind of worried about that. I don't want it to damage the component. It could be. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Okay, those went on really smoothly, so I think I'm going to go ahead and flip this and take off this row now of tape. There we go. Yeah, these all look great now. They're all working really well. That one's a little, didn't have that completely level, but not too bad. Okay, let's move on. Maybe I'll do these two, and then we'll go from there. I'm just trying to make sure these are all staying put. Okay, yeah, let's hit these two. Oh wait, I can see that my cam has frozen. Sometimes using the iPhone as a webcam will freeze up. Reconnect. There we go. I think that did it. And I see some chats here. Okay, yeah. Jimmy, you said I'm getting nervous about doing the PSU board, power supply board, frying their motherboard from shorts and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I am going to test my PSU. I'll talk about that more when I'm back over by the mic. Yeah, we can't see you soldering. Yeah, my cam froze up. Sometimes now it's working there. Sometimes using the iPhone as the camera will kind of freeze up. Here, hold on. Let me move this over. My other thing's running out of battery here. There we go. Yeah, that power supply board. I'll tell you what. I was watching last night videos. Here, let me switch over here so I can talk a little easier. Where are we at? Nope, that's not right. That one. I was looking at what is it? The Kijimi build group last night on Facebook. I was asking them to clarify my OLED orientation just to get I knew it was right. I just wanted to get a blessing. So anyway, I was looking at that and watching the guy had the video about the PSU board and there was a lot of like posts on there about people with burnout LEDs, and I was showing his and he was talking about something with like orientations being wrong, and I couldn't just figure out what he was talking about, whether he made the mistake or if it was something on the board. So I ended up pulling out a watch battery last night, like I think a 3-volt watch type battery, and just taping some leads to it. And then I went to my power supply board that I had built, and I looked at the orientations on the board, because then I was thinking, oh, maybe I reverse my LEDs, and as soon as I plug this thing in, I'm going to pop them all and then have to source more LEDs. But I looked, there was like a flat side or something in the solders, but one of them is reversed orientation. I think like the third from the left or something is a reverse, and all the others are the same way. And I was thinking, oh man, maybe I reversed one of these or something, didn't pay attention. But I went through with the watch battery and matched how the what do I want to say, the PCB layout, what was positive and negative, I matched it and just touched the leads to each of the LEDs, and all of them lit up. I don't know, there were 5 or 6 of them, and they all lit up perfectly. So I know I got my LED orientations right on the power supply board, and I know they all work now. I was pretty detail oriented when I did it, so I hope it's right. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to just leave it, and then exactly what you were suggesting, I'm going to do what I've seen other people do. I'm going to power just that board on its own, and then run from the ground and run each test hole, and just make sure I'm getting the proper voltages out of the power supply board before I move on. That's definitely going to go that step. I am going to see about if there's anything I need to do maybe for each board beyond going through and testing every lead. I did see somebody when I was first starting that was saying, oh, you gotta, you do a solder or two and then you stop and you test it, make sure there's no grounds. And I was like, oh my god, this would take like 7 years if I did that. But then again, if I have a short somewhere on this board with 1,000 connections, it probably takes 7 years to figure it out. So I probably should have done that. Maybe it's something you can think of, is ask around the board the best way to test these out. I also saw the guy with the voice card. I printed it out over here somewhere. He had a little schematic of just that surface mount chip for the voice cards, and I guess where all the leads for each pin on the leg go to run a test. But I'm not sure how I test that. I'm not sure if I'm doing like positive, like run pin 1 and then match it to the pin 1 hole on the voice card, and then I'm just looking to hear a beep or something for, if it's grounded. I think that's what they're talking about testing. I'm not even sure what they mean by testing that, but I'm guessing they're talking about continuity to make sure there's no grounds in between. I think that's what it might be. So I will do that probably with the voice cards. Just do each surface mount chip and then run that set of tests when I figure that out. But beyond that, right now I'm just going to kind of go for this hardware board and pray that all these connections are okay, especially like all the surface mounted caps or resistors or whatever I did on there. All right. Okay, back to this. I think we have a working phone now. Oh my god, I can't see this across the room. It's like super hard. Sorry, I'm kind of just playing whack-a-mole to find the right camera from this angle. There we go. And yep, I'm still live. Okay, good. Okay, I'm gonna go for these two middle buttons now. Those seem pretty good. Get close to my fan here. Be careful with the soldering too. I don't know what your experience is. I'm sure you've done a lot of soldering, but boy, I've noticed that I used to teach classes doing this stuff, and I do it every day. And my lungs, you got to really be careful. I started to get I used to wear a mask, and now I kind of ditched the mask, but really try to use a fan or something, because if you do this all the time, it really can tear up your insides kind of thing. It's really not the healthiest. I mean, at least I'm not using the leaded, but so I think you said yesterday, I saw on the chat that when I was asking if you had built this or you had, it looked like you are in the process. You ordered everything, is what it seemed like, right? So you probably have stuff coming to you in the mail. That's exciting. That's super exciting. I'm curious. Did you order your boards from? What do I say? Black Corporation directly. I actually, for mine, I found these on Reverb. Another guy had ordered them and felt ambitious, and then bailed out and just wanted to get rid of them. So I got my boards a little cheaper because of that. I mean, and I was a little worried doing that. I'm usually a person that's in favor of just buying new versus used, because you just never know what you're getting used, and especially Reverb and those things these days. It's like people usually want like quite a bit of a premium for things. It's not even that much of a real deal, like $100 or something. But at any rate, I got mine a pretty decent deal, and they came and they were like in pristine shape. So they basically look completely unused, so I was happy about that. But then I ended up, spending all kinds of extra money, getting the extra voice cards, all this stuff. So, all in all, this thing is a bit of a boondoggle, and like how much I'm actually spending to build it is, I don't even want to know anymore. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but it is quite expensive. I think the thing that I'm most excited about, personally, is the 8-voice output card, because here, I'm going to do this top row of buttons now. I'm happy. I'm really excited that I built that 8-voice expansion card, meaning the output card, where you can output all 8 voices separately, as opposed to just a stereo mix of the 8, because I just got through designing a crazy Max MSP patch that is for surround sound, and what it does is enables me to take all 24 channels from my mixer, and I can take all 24 channels from my mixer, and then I can actually pan them all in surround sound, like up to 10.1 channels, and so then I can move the sounds around. I can automate the panning and thing around all 10 channels in like a live show kind of scenario. That's my goal here. And so, boy, I would love to have 8 voices of a Kijimi all separately coming out of the Kijimi and then panning around an audience. So you could be doing something. I have a Rolly keyboard. Like I could be playing the Rolly for MPE through the Kijimi, and then having all 8 voices going out to like 10 or so PAs around a club or something, and have that surrounding an audience. That'd be really amazing. So that's why I keep telling myself, like, oh well, that's why you had to do the DIY one, so you can have the 8 channels. Yeah. At any rate, I am pretty stoked about that. If this all does actually work out in the end here, that is definitely the goal with the Kijimi, is to start playing this in a surround scenario. The posts of these are ugly. I would not normally be happy with how those posts are turning out, but they're functional. Nothing's bridging or anything, and they're gonna work. I just don't particularly like how they're sloppy for my terms, but they're okay. I'm not gonna beat it because oh, I see, I gotta leave this one down because it's connected to the rest. I did these all in sequence. Okay, so I'm just gonna do the other ones here. Again, sorry if you're talking or anyone's talking. I can't see the screen from here. I'll have to revisit that in a bit. Yeah, these are definitely a little rougher going the second round, and like I said, I think it's because whatever amount of flux is in the solder core, I mean, it is some kind of rosin core solder, has flux in it. It's probably just not enough. I should probably be dousing these with flux. You know what? Let me do that. Instead of struggling with this, maybe I try to get away without using a lot of flux. Because I don't want to just gunk up the boards and then have to do a ton of cleaning later, but this is one case where I should probably just go ahead and do it. It's probably going to make my life a lot easier. It's weird, I can actually hear that. This is terrible right now. I don't know what's going on, but that flux, like, you could actually hear it like sizzling, like boiling or something. And that did almost, actually I felt like it made it worse, honestly. Hopefully that is not the case with all these and it was just that one. Okay, that one was a little smoother. I don't know what's going on there. It's just like, it's doing the whole where my solder wants to stick to it's wanting to stick to the iron and everything, maybe the post, but it's not wanting to go to the surface mount hole very much. I mean, I kind of have to, you know, really get it on there and finesse it, and then hold it a little longer. And usually it'll creep down to the opening, and then I'll finally get a bead. But I mean, it's a lot rougher than it usually is. I'll say that. I mean, this is usually cake for me. Like, I literally, like, this feels like whatever the routine is 10 times harder. So shit, had a little solder piece that fell off there. Yeah, I'll use the tweezers. Yeah, did end up coming off. Yeah, this feels like a slog where it's usually like butter. So definitely making mistakes sucks, because having to resolder these points, it's really reluctant to want to fill the post holes again. I mean, honestly, I can't tell whether this flux it has to be doing something, but it's definitely not the magic cure in this case. I mean, I actually think it is helping, because they are a little smoother, maybe, I guess, but they're still not super smooth. Okay, I zinged that whole row now. I think I'm gonna call that good and take this tape off. All right. Well, they all feel good. Solders all look okay. All right, so let's keep moving. I'm going to leave the encoder and those things till last, just to take my time with it. So I have 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and 1 there. I'm going to start from the far left now. Zing these guys first. Okay, done. Thank God the LEDs seem to have been going a lot better. I think it's because there's a lot less thermal mass to heat up. The posts are, you know, quite thick and all that. But the LEDs have been going on fast. And I'm glad about that, because I really don't want to, you know, over stress heat them. I'm curious also, Jimmy, if you're still there. I'd like to. Did you buy the? Did you end up going with the SynthCube kit, or did you source everything on your own? I'm hoping you bought the version 2 kit. If you did the SynthCube, I saw people talking about that on the build forum. And I'm also curious, did you build the 8-voice expander thing? Are you going to do that, or are you skipping that? I kind of thought I could see why you would skip it if you just have zero interest in that kind of thing, but I just thought it was a very cool part of you know, that you just can't do it with even the factory one. So I thought that was one of the alluring options for me for the DIY kit, is just to be able to you know, do something a little different that you can't do on a factory build. It wasn't very hard to build either. I don't really remember everything involved, but I remember it was pretty straightforward. I guess the hardest part would be probably at this point is getting a circuit board, maybe. Because I know, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I don't know if he's like Finnish or sounds Scandinavian or European. Kind of the main guy, John, or whatever, who runs the Facebook group. I think he and the Ando, maybe. I'm probably slaughtering their names. They both, I think, built those or designed them. I think they kind of co-designed it or something and built it. And then they manufactured some boards. I'm gonna do these guys now. These are like the this solder is just acting so weird. It's doing stuff that I've never seen. It'll just kind of start to form like a bubble puddle around it, but then instead of forming a puddle or anything, it'll just crinkle up like paper or something. It's so weird. I've never seen this solder do that before, and it has to be, again, I think it's the resoldering these joints. I think there's just enough gunk that it's just causing weirdness, and it doesn't want to bond to the surface. It's probably dirty. So maybe I should flux this stuff again, but honestly, I felt like I fluxed that up the last time, and that it like barely did anything. I'm gonna go ahead and cut some of these. I got a couple little peaks there. Yeah, it kind of hurts me to have solders like this, honestly. So I'm going to try to flux this up a little bit, and hopefully this will help for at least this last one. It's still not preventing it. It's just kind of doing that, like I said. It's like really weird. It'll just kind of like crumple up and almost go to like a rock or something. Like looks like it turns into paper or something. Like crumples instead of just beating nicely and kind of sucking up onto the metal. All right, those are finished though. There, good. Those are done. Oh, let's screw that up. Put these over here. Did I do these three? Just double check. Did everything. Yes, I did. Boy, that's an ugly solder. Those are definitely not my proudest moment solders. I just got so horrible with that resoldering business. Okay. Good. There we go. They all pressed fine. Okay, great. Those are great. I guess just on to now the OLED and the encoder. What's a bit weird with the OLED is I just have no way of figuring out alignment. I'm gonna just, I hope it's just right. I mean, it looks good, and it's flush with the surface of that thing. Oh, by the way, I kind of had a thing last night. I thought I was gonna have to trim the tops of the 4 male header pins I put in. Sometimes those tops stick, and I was afraid that the tops were just tall enough to make it like tilt out of shape, and I was like, oh no, I already sandwiched all that in there, and I tried to get in there with pliers and couldn't, but it turns out when I really studied it, they're just off the plastic face shield enough that they sit down next to the face shield and don't interfere with anything. And it actually just sits in there just beautifully. So you don't have to trim the top of those header pins, that's for sure. It's laying in there. It looks really nice right now, and like the alignment holes for this look pretty good. So I'm gonna just go for this and hope for the best kind of thing. I am gonna just touch some flux on the encoder and around the pins here. Okay. Yeah, let's go for this. Oh, it's so weird, man. This... I feel like I have... My tip looks beautiful. It's like... Even these are pristine solders, and they're going a little rough here. I don't know why. Maybe my Hako is just not what it was or something, or I let it sit long enough that it really needs more than I thought. I mean, those look nice though. I'm gonna go for this. It's a little shifted to one angle, but you know, worst comes to worst, you could desolder this, I guess, and then try to readjust it or something if you really had to. Alright, so that's it. I just did the OLED and the encoder and all the buttons. So, hallelujah. I think that is the hardware board, all the buttons and pots and the encoder and the OLED screen. Great. That's done. Now it's on to this. And I'm going to do it. My paper over there, I have it kind of upside down or whatever the orientation, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in a second. Let me stick this up and I'll move this over. So here is what I did. I laid out this paper, and because I had some pictures of my circuit boards with the numbering still on it. And then, because those are not all the same ICs, you know, there's a one that's a 10-bit DAC or something on there, and they're all different ones. So I do have them lined up how they should go, and I have you know, them all in the right place there, and now I have to basically just transfer them over here. And that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to start and go from just right to left, one at a time. So I'm going to grab this one, and then I'm going to place this one. Boy, it is important to have a system when you do this stuff, because it is so easy to make mistakes with these things. Like, I actually have to say it's quite a pain to stream this stuff and do it at the same time and keep everything straight, like to be able to talk and do it. This stuff would all go a whole heck of a lot faster if I was just doing this by myself with no cameras and all this stuff on. Okay, I think I can kill this now too, which is great in my iron. Not let that cook longer than it needs to. Okay, good. So chip 1 is in. I'm just making sure to keep my little half moons lined up. I'm checking both the board that I haven't soldered one in backwards, the mount, and then I'm also checking that the IC, so all three basically match up. I kind of did a quick inspect last night and they all seemed right, but I am doing it. I do everything like triple and 3 times, so hopefully that's gonna pay off a little bit in the end. We shall see. I'm doing this off camera, I guess, but what I'm doing is just slightly putting these down on the sides and then bending the pins in. They go into the mounts much easier, and then I just kind of keep doing it as I need to. You gotta be really careful. I think there's some kind of IC placing tool or something like that, but I don't think I have one. And usually it just seems like if I just finesse these, probably takes longer this way, but it's working pretty well, so I'm just gonna keep going at it. Okay, that one's ready. Yeah. And I'm trying to like double and triple check that what I took off there is going in here. I think what I'm going to do as well is definitely go over the bill of materials now with that sheet and just read them again, like read each one and then read that actually what's on top of the chip again. I did all that last night and like double and triple check myself, but I'm going to do it one more final time once I place all these in. You just never know. So just to make absolute certain that like during the transfer here I don't mess something up. Okay, here's number 3, and I almost did it, but the mount is the half moon. Pin 1 is the opposite direction on this one. These two are down and this one's up, and definitely got to keep those in mind. Okay, great. Number 3 done. Here, let me quickly check this out. Oh boy, okay, I see you wrote a bunch of stuff. So I see a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to go ahead and run these, the rest of these ICs. And then I'll come back and kind of read your stuff. So this one goes on the up and up here. I think I am going to stop today after this. It won't be a very long stream, but I'm going to stop here after the hardware board is completely finished. And then I'm going to, return probably either tonight or tomorrow and start doing the surface mount soldering stuff, like practice for the voice cards. And I think what I've decided after doing it, at first I'm going to try the hot air stuff. I'm going to do syringe flux with syringe paste and practice just and using the hot air rework station here and see how that goes. Because after watching a bunch of videos again last night, it just seems like the most kind of it seems the easiest actually. and the guy who runs kind of the Facebook build group, John A, or I'm not sure, I saw it on his name, I'm sure, but uh, he that was his recommendation, and it seems like he's built a bunch of these, so I'm gonna go with that. I've always wanted to try it as well. I have a cheap hot air rework station. I can't remember where I got it. Probably Amazon, like 40, $50, something. It's like a really cheapo. But I don't. It seems like that it should be just fine. Just a bit more. Okay. I'm being ultra aware of the cutout half moons, making sure they match both the PCB and my board and everything. Boy, I'm glad I was able to find that photo and just lay these all out last night, or this stream would have been like 2 hours of me staring at boards and going back and forth and trying to figure out what I'm doing. It's a bit tricky with the stream to like keep things, somewhat moving along and useful, and not just a bunch of boring stuff like me staring at sheets, or just doing some really just terrible, mind-numbing, boring stuff. So it's like 2 hours of a stream of me staring at a paper or something. So I'm trying to do a little bit of prep work off screen, and then come online and just do kind of a nice condensed group of work, and then call it good. I'm gonna do this one next. I'm also curious if you've watched all the ones from like a year or so ago, the ones where I started. I think I've actually just about streamed everything. I think I started at the very beginning, and now with this continuation, it's. I think I'm actually capturing the whole build process, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really curious if you've watched the whole thing and if you found them useful. I hope so. That one I overbent just a bit, so it's just like slightly off to one side, but it's not a big deal. Boy, this stuff is tricky because all these, the orientations flip-flop back and forth, and the chips are like in between each one. They're not all just the same. They're all different ones. Keeps going back and forth between components and stuff. Now that I've done it this way, I might suggest doing it that way rather than just having to sit and stare at a bomb sheet the whole time. I might print out a picture of these layouts and just do it this way again, because it makes the actual assembly process go really quickly. Because it's just, you just look at the sheet and match them up. You don't have to look at anything. I mean, that's assuming I didn't make any screw ups. But like I said, I'm going to go over this with the sheet again at the end anyway, and just kind of double, triple check myself. I'm really hoping that I've been efficient and not made a bunch of errors. I'm usually pretty detail oriented about this stuff, and check a bunch of times with connections and things. That's why I was actually pretty happy last night with the power board things. When I went over all the LEDs, I was thinking, oh, I probably reversed the one that's the opposite direction or something. And it turned out that I didn't. That I had caught it and put it all in the correct orientation. So yeah. So I'm hoping that I've been that that way through the whole build, and that things will go pretty well for me here during kind of software phase. I did see somebody online that was talking about like kind of is saying that he screwed up his build using the Babu Freak thing. I know that's some kind of like VST or something to control it directly. So I don't know if you have to like burn new firmware to the board or something. And if that's what he's talking about, like he messed up some kind of firmware uploads or something. But I'm really curious because I was really curious to try that out to have like some kind of expanded capabilities. But I think I'm going to be really conservative about that kind of stuff until I know exactly what any kind of dangers are. Because that would also be bad. I don't want to like spend a bunch of time and finally get it to work and then be like, oh, I'll try the alternate firmware, and then like there's a hidden the cavat that it like can brick your device. All right. I can just visually check the orientations again. I'm not checking the actual chips right now. I am confident I have the right ones on there, but I will definitely go over that and double check again. But this is looking golden. All the orientations are correct. Okay, let me get this thing off. Oh, I hate the magnifying glass. All right, and that's it. This is a completed hardware board. Everything done. That is 100%. I am exceedingly happy. Here, I'm gonna zoom out here. I think I can zoom out. Hold on. Let me see if I can do that. This iPhone doesn't look great zoomed in. The quality really goes down. But there you go. That is a finished hardware board. And I found, hopefully you find this useful. They are, if you're getting the SynthCube thing, it's the 6mm standoff, and the nylon ring is on the bottom, or in there. I don't know if you can see it. I think you can. But it's the 6mm and the 6mm and the little nylon ring, and then I think those are 12mm standoffs that are going to mount to the motherboard. And I did leave that one in the middle out because I did study the motherboard, and I think it grounds with one of the voice card leads coming out the back. So that one's left out. But this was something that I found a bit confusing, this whole sandwiching technique, because no one really described it anywhere in anything that I saw. And then I used the smaller black screws. There's a bag of them in there. There's a lot of them. And I think those are going to be the same screws that you use on the opposite side to secure the motherboard. But there. And then there's a bag of 6 larger black screws that will go on each end of here, I think, to attach to the case, the main back case. I am missing. SynthCube didn't include my 1/4" jack. I wrote them. They haven't written back yet. Hopefully they'll send me one. I do have the switch over here, the main power switch. I haven't put that in yet. It's not anything attached to the circuit board, so no big deal there. But that's it. And then these are placed. So that is a complete hardware board. Thank goodness. That's done. One thing I was thinking about doing is I was going to maybe mount the motherboard on here to see if it fits, but I think I'm going to wait. Let me switch over here now. I think I'm gonna wait for that though, because I'm gonna wait to do that. And you know what I'm gonna do? Because this camera, the quality is much better. I'm gonna hold this up here. This Sony camera is like way better quality. So that's a finished kind of back. Again, here is the side. Hopefully you can see in there like the nylon spacer maybe. Here's those, how it's sandwiched. And then here is the front board. All right. Yeah. And the only tricky part too was in that sandwiching, let me think about that, was just the, you know, thinking back on this now, you know, all my mistakes and everything, whatever, definitely what you want to do is lay out all the components in there with no solders, and you want to put that front plate on. You don't have to put any spacers or anything. You just lay that plate on and just align everything in there. And then once everything is lined up in there, you are golden. You can solder. Now, I don't know if you have one of those red things that compresses it. I still think it would be problematic with the buttons because they're going to fall down. So I actually think I would do what I did, which is put all your buttons and all your pots and everything in there. And then I would get all the buttons pressed down correctly. And I think I would tape them to the faceplate before I solder. And then I'm trying to think of how I would do this. I think I might even put all the standoffs on here and screw this all down like it is. So then nothing will move and it's all going to just, it would actually help keep all the pots directly where they need to be. And it's going to help everything stay where it needs to be. Which means then you're going to place all the pots, all the buttons, all the LEDs, the encoder, the acrylic piece, have that taped in the front plate or glued in, whatever you're going to do. And then also the header, 4 header pins on the OLED, and have that in there and sitting. And then you're going to put the faceplate on with the 6mm standoffs with the nylon rings. And then you're going to screw all that on there and the 12mm standoffs on the back. You're going to screw all that stuff together and sandwich it all before you do any soldering. And then what I would do is get the buttons aligned, tape them down. Yeah, and then maybe make sure your LEDs are all pushed forward flush with the board, the face board, because then it won't move because they're screwed in. And that's basically it. Then you could, without using any, you know, that compression thing or anything, you could just, because the buttons are taped in, you could just literally flip this thing over and then, you know, maybe run the ground pin for all of them or something, solder everything kind of roughly into place maybe. I don't know, and then just check for final alignments before you go forward. Now that I know, I think that's what I would have done. I definitely would have just gone for all of it in one go with the faceplate on, screwed together with all the standoffs, because it would just simplify everything. The problem for me was, because I didn't see anyone do this and there was no information out there, is I always tended to go conservative and go in stages and say, okay, here, I'm going to just do the pots, which is what I did. I just like put all the pots in and lined them up, and then I soldered all those, and then I put the buttons in and soldered them, and then I was like, oh shit, the faceplate. And that's where I blew it. But you know, now knowing what I know, you really need to just do all of these in their place, all the standoffs, the faceplate on, everything screwed together and sandwich how it's going to be. Make sure everything's aligned, and then start going at your solders. I still think you're going to need to tape down the buttons or something, because with the faceplate on, even they're still going to want to move around probably. I'm happy though, with all those troubles and everything. It at least is together, and all the buttons work, and nothing's binding anymore. And it's, you know, who knows if it's actually going to work. but it looks fine. So I'm stoked that I was able to just desolder enough and finesse it back into place without having to try to struggle through desoldering every single pot and all the anchor points and all that stuff. There you go. So okay, next steps. I'm gonna leave this here. I'm gonna be done streaming for this session. What I'm gonna do in the meantime, I'm definitely gonna go over this board now, and I think clean it with some alcohol and the backside here. I'm gonna alcohol it and just kind of tidy it up and try to get any little solder beads or anything off of there, and just kind of inspect it and make sure it all looks good, and maybe like touch up a solder here or there if one looks a little manky. Other than that, I'm going to say this is done. I'm going to just clean it up, say this one's done, and then next stream, I think, and I'll probably clean off my motherboard as well. Basically all the boards. I'll spend some time cleaning. I don't think I'll stream that. And then just have them all cleaned up and ready. Then maybe next time I'll either mount the motherboard to this one, or I'll just start experimenting with the surface mount soldering and see how that goes. All right, so switch back here, I guess. Oh, don't have my mouse. I always don't have something. All right. Oh yeah, I didn't look at chat. Here, there's a bunch of chats on here. Oh, wow, you wrote a ton. That's awesome. Okay, we talked about the power supply stuff. Yeah, the OLEDs and the pinouts. Yep, I have had ones where like they're in any number of order, because I order a bunch of this stuff off AliExpress and China and stuff too. Sometimes you get batches, you don't know what you're getting, so it is definitely you gotta check that out. It was good that the one that SynthCube sent actually was in the right order, so good on them. Oh wow, you're getting your parts kit tomorrow. That's awesome. That's super exciting. Okay, good luck. Well, you're about to jump into it. Yeah, so you ordered the version 2 cards from Black Corporation. Awesome. I did that too. It was from the build forum. I saw them talking about that and the new. Did you get the new version of I don't know what it's called, the interface or power board? Not power board, but the one that has all the MIDI and like stereo and stuff on there. I ordered that new one because I guess they said it's more compatible with software and they said it eliminated a lot of noise, which I'd be super happy about, because my setup's crazy here, and I have had considerable noise issues, mainly from like the computers and stuff. The computers throw all kinds of terrible noise into audio stuff. But I did buy some of these little passive filters. I found these on like Amazon or something. I don't know how good these are. They're cheapos, but what are these called? Moth? I don't know. Anyway, but they're just kind of, they have an 1/8" jack on each side, and there's some kind of passive filter in there. Again, I don't know how great it is. I haven't really noticed it flavor the sound too much. So I'm not too worried there, but these have been golden. They have taken a lot of noise that I was getting from like the PCs and stuff, and it's essentially zapped it all. So I'm super stoked about those, and hopefully that new Kijimi part does that. Yeah, sell enough gear for the Kijimi. I hear you. Yeah. Man, this audio stuff is just a money hole. It's like buying a yacht. It may be worse than boats. I mean, I got into, I don't know if you see it in the background, but I got super into modular as well. I'll switch over to that view for a second, but this is just one part of it. There's two of these kits. There's a top and bottom. This is shooting down to the bottom one. But oh my god, this stuff's a money hole. But it is awesome sounding. So I'm super excited to get stuff like going out of the computer now and into like something like the Morphogene back in, swing it back in, that kind of stuff. You found out about Kijimi a few weeks ago. Yeah, you said you heard about the Kijimi via Decker's Dream, and that was the exact same for me. I was all about Decker's Dream because I've saw CS80 stuff, and I think the CS80 is fantastic. I mean, oh my god, like I would I would die to have a CS80. I mean, just fantastic keyboard. I mean, just looking at this the way, and of course, I mean, like that Vangelis stuff, like Blade Runner. I like I make ambient music, so like listening to Blade Runner blues and just hearing what he does with the CS80 on there was fantastic. So when I heard that you could get something that sounds like that, even if it's, I don't even care if it's like a replica of it or whatever, even if it's close, if it has that sizzle, I was so into it. And then I saw what's that guy's name? Ricky Timez. I don't know what his name is, but on YouTube, that guy he did a review of the Kijimi or something. He got one and he did, and it was just it blew me away. It was just fantastic. He had an MPE kind of controller, and then talking with the guys on the Facebook forum, they were like, if you're not a straight up player and you want to experiment more and modulate, they were like, go Kijimi all the way, and that kind of like that pushed me over the top, and then I was like all in on the Kijimi, and then I started going crazy and I went for it. That's how I did it. Uh, yeah, I agree. The profit stuff, I don't know. I've heard them. I've listened to all this stuff online as much as possible. I mean, it's kind of hard to find good stuff, but I never was that overboard on the profit stuff. I mean, of course, if somebody handed me one of those, hell yeah, I'll take it. But I just for some reason I never I don't know. It didn't draw to me, and I liked there was something about the Kajimi I liked. I mean, that Ricky guy, I guess he sold me on it with that review, especially because I have the MPE stuff, and that's how I'm really looking to use it. So that really got me more than anything. And for me again, that eight, when I saw finally like they had eight voices out singly, and then I can use it with this crazy surround software I'm making. Oh, I was just like, no question. Not, I don't think there's anything else out there that's doing stuff like that. Uh, Yeah, the resale value. I agree. I think it will. I actually think it'll increase over time as like these come out of issue at some point, and then there's only been a handful of these made, and only a handful that have that eight voice mod and all that. I think they will retain value. Not that if I finish this thing, I don't think I'll probably ever get rid of this thing. Yeah, I could have blown my tips. They may be getting old now. I have used it a heck of a lot. But I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I do what do I want to say? I have tip tinner, and after, so many hours, I will, if it gets really just nasty, I'll just dip it in that tip tinner, and that really seems to revive those tips quite a bit. So if you don't have that, it's handy too. I bought just some on Amazon somewhere. Oh, last two synth cube kits. Yep. Yeah, yeah. They do get hard to find sometimes. You skip the output mod. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Well, wait, I'm not sure what you mean. How would you? So you're saying you would skip the output mod, and that it would be cool to repurpose the expander DIN port on the Kijimi to be an 8-pin DIN interface for the individual output mod. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Explain that if you're still around here. I think I see stuff popping at the bottom. I just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah, so you don't have to drill out the individual coordinate. Oh, I see what you're saying. like just have an 8 put DIN port, and then you'd plug something in there, and then like split it with a spider cable or something. Yeah, like, damn, that's not a bad idea. But you know what? I don't know. The only advantage is I think they have individual pans for each channel, so you could pan it left and right. Maybe you could build your own external box or something though too. Yeah, worried about screwing that up. I am too. I don't have a drill press now. I used to have a drill press at work. I'm not there anymore, so I might have to hand drill this. So I think I'm gonna tap it first, like with a nail or something, and tap a point, and then maybe drill it. They may be a little crooked. I don't know. I'm not gonna stress too much though. Yeah, liberal with the flux. Yep, that's what I've seen. All the online stuff, they're like, I think it's like, oh my god, I can't believe how much flux they're using. So that's going to be my plan as well. I watched this guy. He runs like an Apple repair shop in New York. He's really big into right to repair and stuff, and can't remember the Rossman group. Anyway, he has some great videos. It's all repairing like Apple motherboards and stuff, so super tiny stuff. He's really good, but he's always using just a boatload of solder on, or I mean paste on there. Yeah, dude, like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm glad you found them useful. I'm glad you found them too. I'm never sure if people actually find them or not. I didn't really do anything. I just kind of filmed them and stuck them up there and hoped people would bounce around in them. But yeah, I think I am the only person who's kind of documented, start to finish. Well, start to this point, like the entire process, kind of on cam. I haven't seen anyone do it, and that's why I wanted to do it. I have to say it's a pain in the butt to do it, but I'm really hoping other people building these find it useful. Boy, I got to get some kind of bot controller here on whatever platform that is. I'm using Restream, so I'm broadcasting to a bunch of platforms. Not sure where that bot's coming from. Multi-timbral mod. Yeah, boy, that would be super cool. Yeah, you can kind of get multi-timbral in a way, like when you're accessing, there's got kind of different layers. It's kind of adding or subtracting sound. Yeah, the shorts, the standoffs are tricky, man. Definitely like read and reread like the DSL man website and comb over the forum and the Facebook forum group and all that stuff, because it really is not gathered all together in one place. It's a nightmare. I find myself like in like paranoid, like at night, like up just combing through like the Facebook group 10 times, and then I go over to Yes Man and put, and you don't know what, sometimes they're talking about like version 1 or the old voice cards versus the new voice cards, and I can never really keep it straight. There really is no succinct guide for any of this stuff. But with the shorts with the guides and things, I think is when you're assembling though, you would kind of see those. I mean, I've been able to kind of see through pictures and do it and just do it from the beginning from reading. But definitely when I held the motherboard over, I could see how it was going to touch the voice card, and I think I would notice those anyways. But it is tough. Yes, there is an acrylic pane that goes over the OLED. Uh, no, I didn't use glue for the OLED, that acrylic pane. Um, I ended up just using double-sided tape that I had stuck here in the closet. I didn't have like a good glue. I had like super glue and something else, maybe like some epoxy in some drawer with like a two mix thing, and I didn't want to get into that. I just didn't think it didn't seem that important because, so anyway, I just used some double-sided tape that I had in the drawer, and that worked really well. I just cut out 4 thin strips that go around it and pressed it on there, and it stayed on perfect. And then really when you put the OLED in, when you sandwich it, it just lays flat on top of that acrylic piece. And then once you solder the 4 posts, even if it like gets a little bit loose, it's not going to go anywhere now because it's just soldered. Those 4 pins are holding everything in the sandwich anyway. So I mean, maybe in the future it'll kind of come loose or the stuff will dry out, but I think it'll be fine because the screen is sandwiching it in there. Yeah, yeah, okay. Oh, I see. The new hardware board ships with the DIY kit. It's cool. My question would be: is that output board? Are they surface mounting? Do they have all the surface mount stuff on there, or is it loose stuff that you have to solder in? I'm just kind of curious about that. Uh, Yeah, sure. Hit me up on Facebook about the modular stuff. That's been an adventure. It's still somewhat new to me, but I love it. I'm definitely into it. Yeah, let me know about the SMT stuff on the output boards. I'm curious, just to see how those parts of the kits are going as well. Okay, that's it for me. I'm gonna sign off here, and I think I'll probably just come back tomorrow, and I'm going to start doing the test soldering surface mount stuff. And tonight, I think I'm just gonna off cam clean up those boards as much as I can, kind of just inspect all the solders as much as possible, and do cleaning up and organizing and stuff like that. All right. So long. See everyone on the flip side. Take care.